especially as the VADs and nursing sisters were housed year-round in leaky tents with no heat source. They were provided with a damp cot, with a thin blanket and an even thinner army mattress. The biggest issue was the damp cold, which was felt even in the summer months. Thankfully, they were too exhausted by work to be kept awake by the cold. This is why socks were a much appreciated gift from home, and women left behind were urged to knit your bit to help combat the cold and trench foot suffered by those serving at the front. Hot water bottles froze each night, and every morning started with having to poke a finger into the water pitcher to crack a thin layer of ice. Gripping the handle with the pitcher with both hands, she poured freezing cold water into the bowl so that she could wash with a flannel cloth. Every woman at the front dreamed of long, hot baths, one where she could replenish the hot water and soap until every last molecule of mud, blood, sweat, and tears had been washed away. The lasting issue for the VADs and nurses, even after the war, was the feeling that the cold never left their bones. It's a wonder more girls weren't sent home because her health gave way under the rough camp life. Next, she would take down her still damp dress, which had been hanging from a wire they'd rigged inside the tent. She'd check every seam and in the hem for lice. It was the morning drill. Check for lice, and when you finished checking, check some more. Because lice are crafty beggars, and they were everywhere. Women still kept their hair long, even though it was difficult to care for, especially at the front. One VAD recalled, as she was brushing her hair one night, that she had collected some of the notorious graybacks, as the lice were called. I was so exhausted, I just collapsed in tears. It seemed the last straw. I sat up nearly all night crying and washing my long hair again and again in disinfectant. I felt as if I'd never be clean again. You could strip down in freezing rain, delouse yourself, delouse your clothes, put them back on, and the eggs hidden in the seams would hatch and infest you all over again. She finished dressing quickly, making sure her apron was fresh and her armband secured, attached. And think, at least we're not up to our waists in mud in the trenches. At least we're not piling up bodies to make a wall to protect us, not like the boys are doing.